Let me ask you something simple. What did you snack on today? A handful of peanuts while you watched the evening news? A few cashews with your tea? Maybe some mixed nuts from the grocery store? The package covered in bright green letters that promised you they were heart healthy? If you're over 60, those handfuls may not be as harmless as you think. They may be quietly raising your blood pressure, stealing your memory, stiffening your arteries, damaging your kidneys. And all the while, you believe you're doing something good for yourself. That's the cruelest part. The most dangerous poisons are the ones that come dressed as friends. I don't say this to scare you without reason. I say this because for over 60 years, I have sat beside the beds of people your age. Men and women who walked into my clinic full of hope, carrying their healthy snacks in small plastic bags, only to discover that what they were eating was silently tearing their bodies apart. Here's what most doctors never tell their older patients. After 60, your body changes in ways you may not notice, but those changes are relentless. Your liver processes toxins more slowly. Your blood vessels stiffen. Your kidneys lose resilience. Your hormones decline. And the foods that once gave you energy at 30 can now become the very foods that poison you at 70. The World Health Organization has warned that aflatoxin, a mold toxin commonly found in peanuts, is one of the most powerful carcinogens in food. Invisible, tasteless, odorless, and deadly. It doesn't happen overnight. It builds quietly, year by year, until one day, the liver fails. In the United States, over 4.5 billion pounds of peanuts are eaten each year, and almost no senior who eats them daily has ever been told, "This might be killing you." Cashews, smooth and creamy, look harmless. But did you know they contain oxalates that can bind to calcium, increasing the risk of kidney stones? Did you know they spike blood sugar more than most nuts? A hidden trap for seniors already battling pre-diabetes? I once treated Linda, 70 years old, a grandmother who baked cashews into every cookie she made for her grandkids. She thought she was choosing love. What she didn't know was that her kidneys were slowly filling with stones, sharp enough to bring her to her knees in agony. Macadamias, rich, buttery, sold as luxury. But luxury carries a cost. Just 1 ounce contains nearly 200 calories and more saturated fat than most seniors can process in a day. I met Carl, 68, a retired engineer, who told me proudly he avoided junk food. "I only treat myself to a few macadamias each night," he said with a smile. Within a year, his cholesterol had climbed. His weight crept up. His blood pressure rose. The nuts he thought were keeping him young were in fact pulling him faster toward decline. And pine nuts, tiny, oily, often hiding in your pesto sauce. They don't just cause pine mouth, a bitter metallic taste that can last for weeks. They also interfere with how your liver processes common medications. Blood pressure pills, cholesterol pills, mood stabilizers. I saw Ruth, 74, careful and meticulous with her health, suddenly unable to eat or drink without gagging at the metallic taste in her mouth. Her body was collapsing, not because of neglect, but because of a handful of pine nuts. Do you see the pattern? The foods we trust most, the snacks that seem safe, are often the ones that betray us, especially after 60. But here's the other side of the truth. Just as the wrong nuts can poison you, the right ones can save you. 1 Brazil nut a day can reawaken your thyroid and restore your energy. Almonds can strengthen your bones and sharpen your memory. Walnuts can rebuild your sleep and guard your brain. Pistachios can lower your blood pressure, protect your eyes, and balance your blood sugar. These are not just snacks. They are medicine from nature. but only if you know which ones to choose and how much to eat. Because here is the reality most people forget. Your body is not passive. Your body remembers. Every bite you take is recorded. Every small choice leaves a mark. Sometimes that mark is strength. Other times it is weakness. At your age, it's no longer about indulgence or treats. It's about signals. Every bite you take is a message, and your body will respond. I have seen too many patients who believed they were doing the right thing. George, 72, a proud Vietnam veteran, told me with a smile, "Doc, I eat peanuts every night. They keep me young." But when his blood pressure spiked and his joints flared, he realized too late that those peanuts were fueling the fire of inflammation. Linda, who loved cashews, cried when she was told her kidneys were failing. Carl, the disciplined engineer, couldn't believe that his healthy macadamia snack was the hidden weight dragging him down. Ruth, precise and careful, never thought pesto could destroy her sense of taste and make her weaker with each passing day. These are not rare cases. These are everyday stories. Stories of people like you, sitting in their kitchen, thinking they are safe. But the body never forgets. And here is the promise I make to you tonight. I will walk you through all 8, the 4 that heal, the 4 that harm. And at the very end, I will expose the most dangerous nut of all, the one linked to memory loss and liver damage, the one that might already be sitting in your pantry. But listen carefully. If you leave before the end, you may keep eating the very thing that is stealing your independence, your clarity, and your strength. You may keep trusting the foods that are quietly preparing your decline. Your body remembers, but it also forgives. If you make the right choices, not tomorrow, not next week, but tonight, you can still change the story. I have seen men and women in their 70s and 80s, frail and weak, reclaim their spark simply by making one small adjustment. One nut swapped for another. One habit replaced by a wiser choice. And that is why you must stay with me. Because in the next part, I will explain why this matters more for you, sitting right there listening, than for anyone else. And I will tell you why the nut you trust most may be the one betraying you. Your body remembers. Your time is precious, and the truth is waiting. Let me speak to you directly now. This is not about statistics. This is not about strangers you will never meet. This is about you. If you are over 60, your body is not the same body you trusted at 30. And that single fact changes everything. At 30, your liver could detoxify with speed. At 60, it struggles. At 30, your arteries were elastic, pumping blood like a fresh garden hose. At 60, they stiffen, narrowing your flow. At 30, your kidneys filtered waste with strength. At 60, they grow fragile, like an old coffee filter tearing at the edges. And here is what most people forget. Food interacts with that aging body differently. What once gave you energy now slows you. What once passed through easily now clogs and lingers. This is why the same handful of peanuts that felt harmless when you were young can now ignite inflammation in your joints, confusion in your brain, or strain in your heart. I remember a woman named Margaret, 66 years old, who came to see me because she felt just a little more tired than usual. She wasn't sick, not officially. She still went for walks, still cooked for her family. But she said, "Doc, something feels off. I don't bounce back the way I used to." When we examined her diet, I saw the pattern immediately. Every afternoon, she grabbed a handful of healthy trail mix. Peanuts, cashews, dried fruit, all labeled as heart smart. But her body told a different story. Rising blood sugar, creeping blood pressure, foggy mornings. What looked healthy at the store was quietly draining her. That is why you cannot trust the labels. That is why you cannot assume healthy means safe after 60, because your body has changed. And let me tell you something more unsettling. These changes don't announce themselves with alarms. They don't shout. They whisper. A little stiffness in your hands. A little fog in your memory. A little fatigue in the afternoon. You brush it off. Call it just age. But it isn't just age. It's your body remembering what you feed it. Your body remembers. And here is the cruelest truth. The damage is often invisible until it is too late. You don't feel your arteries hardening. You don't feel your kidneys scarring. You don't feel the silent toxins from peanuts or the oxalates from cashews until they erupt as disease. By the time the pain shows, the damage is already written. That is why you must listen now, before the damage is sealed. But there is one nut, one that seems innocent, that is more dangerous than all the rest. I'll hold that secret until the end, because it may already be in your pantry tonight. Let me speak to you directly now. This is not about statistics. This is not about strangers you will never meet. This is about you. If you are over 60, your body is not the same body you trusted at 30, and that single fact changes everything. At 30, your liver could detoxify with speed. At 60, it struggles. At 30, your arteries were elastic, pumping blood like a fresh garden hose. At 60, they stiffen, narrowing your flow. At 30, your kidneys filtered waste with strength. At 60, they grow fragile, like an old coffee filter tearing at the edges. And here is what most people forget. Food interacts with that aging body differently. What once gave you energy now slows you. What once passed through easily now clogs and lingers. This is why the same handful of peanuts that felt harmless when you were young can now ignite inflammation in your joints, confusion in your brain, or strain in your heart. I remember a woman named Margaret, 66 years old, who came to see me because she felt just a little more tired than usual. She wasn't sick, not officially. She still went for walks, still cooked for her family. But she said, "Doc, something feels off. I don't bounce back the way I used to." When we examined her diet, I saw the pattern immediately. Every afternoon, she grabbed a handful of healthy trail mix. Peanuts, cashews, dried fruit, all labeled as heart smart. But her body told a different story. Rising blood sugar, creeping blood pressure, foggy mornings. What looked healthy at the store was quietly draining her. That is why you cannot trust the labels. That is why you cannot assume healthy means safe after 60, because your body has changed. And let me tell you something more unsettling. These changes don't announce themselves with alarms. They don't shout. They whisper. A little stiffness in your hands. A little fog in your memory. A little fatigue in the afternoon. You brush it off, call it just age. But it isn't just age. It's your body remembering what you feed it. Your body remembers. And here's the cruelest truth. The damage is often invisible until it is too late. You don't feel your arteries hardening. You don't feel your kidneys scarring. You don't feel the silent toxins from peanuts or the oxalates from cashews until they erupt as disease. By the time the pain shows, the damage is already written. That is why you must listen now, before the damage is sealed. But there is one nut, one that seems innocent, that is more dangerous than all the rest. I'll hold that secret until the end, because it may already be in your pantry tonight. Think about this. When was the last time you woke up after a full 8 hours of deep, refreshing sleep? For many people over 60, the answer is hard to remember. Instead of rest, nights are filled with tossing, shallow breathing, or sudden awakenings. You may not connect it to your diet, but food has a direct line to your hormones, your nerves, even the rhythm of your sleep. When I ask my patients what they eat in the evenings, the answers are almost identical. A handful of mixed nuts while watching television, a spoonful of peanut butter before bed, a small snack of cashews or macadamias with a glass of wine. These little choices may seem harmless, but inside the aging body they act like silent triggers, raising blood sugar when it should be steady, keeping blood pressure high when it should be falling, exciting the brain when it should be winding down. This is why I tell you with urgency. What you eat after 60 doesn't just matter. It decides the pace of your decline. Let me tell you about Charles, a retired school principal in his 70s. He came to me complaining of constant fatigue and memory lapses. His wife said he often repeated the same stories at dinner, forgetting he had told them the night before. When we looked closer, his diet was filled with roasted peanuts and salted cashews, his favorite snacks since childhood. What he didn't realize was that the aflatoxin in peanuts was straining his liver, while the high carbohydrate load from cashews was spiking his blood sugar, disrupting both his memory and his mood. When we removed those nuts and replaced them with just a few walnuts and pistachios each evening, the change was remarkable. Within weeks, his energy returned, his memory steadied. He told me, "Doc, it feels like the fog lifted." The body is not cruel. Even at 70, it still responds when you feed it the right signals. And this is the reason you must stay until the very end of this lesson. Because if you don't know which nuts heal and which ones harm, you will keep making the same mistakes every day. You'll keep handing your body the very fuel that drives disease, believing you're doing something good. But here's the promise. There are 4 nuts that can guard your bones, your memory, your blood sugar, your very independence. They are not exotic. They are not expensive. They are within your reach. But there are also 4 others, disguised as healthy, that are quietly attacking your body. And the most dangerous of them all is the one almost every household keeps on hand. I will save that revelation for later, because if you stop listening now, you will never know which one it is. You may walk into your kitchen tomorrow and keep eating the very nut that is aging you faster than time itself. So listen carefully. Stay with me. In a moment, I will tell you who I am, why I've spent more than 6 decades warning people like you, and why I believe that even now, it is not too late to change the story your body is writing. Before we go any further, I want to slow down for a moment, because if you're still listening, you deserve to know who is speaking to you. My name is Dr. Hino. I am 92 years old, and for more than 6 decades, I have spent my days in the quiet rooms of hospitals and clinics, sitting at the bedsides of people your age. I have seen men who once carried heavy steel beams reduced to trembling hands that could no longer lift a glass of water. I have seen women with bright, sharp eyes slowly lose their ability to recognize the faces of their own children. I have seen independence slip away, not in one dramatic moment, but piece by piece with every wrong choice made silently over years. But I have also seen something else. I have seen people who made just a few right choices, small and simple, and those choices carried them far beyond what medicine alone could explain. Men who still walked freely into their 90s. Women who laughed with clear minds past 100. Couples who still held hands and took evening strolls when others their age were bound to wheelchairs. That is why I am speaking to you now. Because aging does not have to mean decline. I want you to treat this podcast not as a lecture, but as a quiet conversation between us. Imagine that you are sitting comfortably, perhaps on your sofa, perhaps lying in bed. The light is soft, the day is ending, and you are allowing yourself to breathe just a little slower. Close your eyes for a moment if you wish. Feel your shoulders relax. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breath settle. As you listen, allow yourself to be present in this calm space. Because even in stillness, your body is listening. Even as you sleep tonight, your body will remember what you hear, and it will respond to the choices you make tomorrow morning. Your body remembers. Always. And this is what I want to give you. Knowledge that is not complicated, not hidden in medical jargon, but knowledge that can fit into your life tonight, tomorrow, and every day that follows. You see, I am not here because I must work. I could have retired 30 years ago. I'm here because I believe deeply that your body, even now, is capable of renewal. At 92, I still work. I still read. I still teach. I still research. Not because I need to, but because I believe the story of aging can be rewritten, and I want to share that possibility with you. So let us walk together through this journey. Tonight, I will not only show you the nuts that protect your thyroid, your bones, your memory, your heart, but I will also warn you about the nuts that can silently poison you. And at the very end, I will reveal the most dangerous one of all, the one most households keep without question. If you have stayed with me this far, it means you are ready. Ready to listen, ready to question, ready to choose. So take one more breath with me, in and out, slowly, gently. Now let us begin with the first nut, one so powerful that just a single piece a day can transform your energy, your hormones, and your very spark for life. When I look back across these 60 years, I can still see the faces. I remember a man named Joseph, 74 years old, who came into my office with his daughter. His legs were weak, his memory slipping. He told me, "Doc, I don't know what happened. Last year I was still fixing things around the house. Now I can barely climb the stairs." His daughter looked at me with pleading eyes, hoping for a miracle. What I discovered was simple. His daily habits, the very foods he thought were harmless, were feeding the decline. I remember Sarah, 68, who used to paint beautiful landscapes in her garden. She told me, "I can still see the colors in my mind, but my hands don't obey anymore." The truth was not that she had lost her gift, but that her nerves were inflamed. Her blood thickened by choices she never thought were dangerous. And I remember Daniel, 82, who once worked as a farmer. He told me, "I thought I would live strong forever, but one fall, one fracture, and everything ended." His voice cracked when he said it. Yet even in his pain, he whispered, "If only I had known sooner." These are not rare tragedies. These are ordinary lives. Lives that could have been protected by knowledge. Lives that remind me every day why I keep speaking, why I refuse to stay silent even at 92. Because silence allows decline. But knowledge, shared at the right moment, can give life back. So tonight, I want you to imagine yourself in those stories. Not to frighten you, but to remind you that the line between decline and renewal is thinner than you think. And every choice you make, every bite you take, tips the balance. This is why I ask you to stay. Because I will not only tell you what is harmful, I will show you what is healing. I will not only warn you of decline, I will give you practices that restore. Take another breath with me now. In through the nose, slow and steady. Out through the mouth, Do you feel how even this small act changes your body? This is what I mean when I say, your body remembers. It listens. It responds. And here is what we will do together. In the next part, we will go beyond stories. We will go into the science, explained simply, clearly, so you can understand and use it. We will explore how certain nuts can rebuild your hormones, protect your bones, stabilize your blood sugar, and guard your memory. And we will confront the dangerous ones, the ones that may already be sitting in your kitchen, slowly stealing years from your life. If you are ready, then let us step into that knowledge. Because once you understand the truth, you will never look at a handful of nuts the same way again. Let us begin with a truth most doctors avoid saying out loud. After 60, your body does not respond the same way it once did. The same foods, the same habits, even the same medicines, they create different outcomes. Why? Because your chemistry has changed. Your hormones shift. Testosterone, estrogen, and growth hormone decline. These are not just sex hormones. They regulate your energy, your bones, your muscles, even the sharpness of your thoughts. When they fall, you feel weaker, slower, less yourself. Your nervous system slows. The protective coating around your nerves, the myelin sheath, begins to fray. Messages that once raced like electricity now stumble like broken wires. That is why reflexes dull, why movements feel stiff, why thoughts take longer to form. Your circulation hardens, arteries stiffen, blood thickens, the rhythm of life itself grows heavy. What once flowed like a river now struggles like a clogged stream. And where does that leave you? More vulnerable to heart attacks, strokes, and silent ischemia, the invisible suffocation of your cells, and your digestion changes. The stomach produces less acid. The intestines absorb less efficiently. The kidneys filter more slowly. What this means is simple. Nutrients you once absorbed with ease now slip away. A banana no longer gives the same potassium. A handful of peanuts no longer feels harmless. This is why I say, after 60, there are no neutral foods. Every bite either builds or breaks you. Every choice either protects or poisons you. The margin for error has narrowed, and yet most people continue eating as if nothing has changed. That is why decline feels sudden. It is not sudden. It is silent until the day it breaks you. But here is the other side. If your body has changed, so can your strategy. You do not need to fight nature. You need to work with it. And nature, in her wisdom, has given us tools. Some of the smallest, simplest, most overlooked tools are found in nuts. Now let me be clear. Not all nuts are equal. Some are powerful medicine for your heart, brain, and hormones. Others are hidden toxins, marketed as healthy, but secretly inflaming your joints, raising your blood sugar, or interfering with your medications. This is the knowledge that could extend your clarity, your strength, your very independence. And that is why, before I show you the 4 dangerous ones, I will first give you the 4 protectors. Because it is not enough to know what to avoid. You must also know what to choose, what to trust, what to turn into a daily ritual. So let us begin with the first. Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts. At first glance, they look ordinary. Large, rough, sometimes bitter. You might even ignore them at the store, choosing almonds or cashews instead. But let me tell you this. Inside that simple shell lies one of the most concentrated medicines nature has ever created for people your age. Why? Because of selenium. One single Brazil nut contains more than 130% of your daily requirement. Not a pill, not a synthetic capsule, but a mineral bound to organic compounds, ready for your body to absorb in ways no pharmacy can match. What does selenium do? First, it activates your thyroid. And your thyroid is your body's command center for energy, metabolism, mood, and memory. After 60, thyroid function slows. That is why your hands feel colder, your weight creeps up, your spark feels dim. But selenium breathes life back into that fading rhythm. It whispers to your thyroid, wake up, lead again. Second, selenium fuels testosterone. Do not make the mistake of thinking testosterone only matters for sex. It is your strength. It is your motivation. It is your ability to sleep deeply and wake with energy. Low testosterone is the hidden reason why many seniors feel weaker, more anxious, less focused. Brazil nuts quietly restore this balance without pills, without prescriptions. Third, Brazil nuts guard your nerves. The fats inside them rebuild the myelin sheath, the insulation around your nerves. Without myelin, your reflexes dull, your movement slows, your thoughts stumble. With myelin intact, you move sharper, steadier, more alive. I will tell you the story of Jack, a retired firefighter in his late 60s. He came to me exhausted, foggy, defeated. He had tried powders, pills, diets, nothing worked. We ran his labs. His selenium was almost empty. I told him, forget the pills. Eat one Brazil nut a day. Just one. 3 weeks later, he returned. His face had more color. His eyes were sharper. He leaned in with a grin and said, Doc, I don't know what's in that nut, but I feel alive again. That is not magic. That is biology responding to the right signal. Jack's thyroid woke up. His testosterone rose. His nerves found their spark. One nut. One small daily ritual. But listen carefully. More is not better. Too much selenium can poison you. That is why I tell my patients, 1 or 2 Brazil nuts per day, never more. Keep them in the refrigerator, ideally still in their shell, and chew them well. This is not snacking. This is medicine disguised as food. And here is your transition. If one nut can reignite energy, hormones, and nerves, imagine what happens when we add the next protector. A nut you already know, but likely underestimate. A nut that quietly defends your bones and your brain at the same time. The nut my own father swore by. Let us talk about almonds. Almonds, simple, familiar, almost boring. You see them in trail mixes, in chocolate bars, in milk substitutes. But let me be clear. After 60, almonds are not a snack. They are a lifeline. Why? Because after 60, 2 silent assassins circle your body every day. Bone loss and brain decline. They don't strike loudly at first. They creep. Your bones lose density, your steps grow fragile, and a single fall can turn into months in a hospital bed. Your memory grows hazy, words slip away, and the sharpness that once defined you begins to blur. But almonds carry inside them a dual shield, for your bones and for your brain. Let us start with bones. A 1/4 cup of almonds holds nearly 100 milligrams of calcium. But the true secret is magnesium. Magnesium acts like a traffic controller, guiding calcium into your bones instead of letting it clog your arteries. Without magnesium, calcium can harden your vessels, raising blood pressure, fueling strokes. With magnesium, calcium locks into your skeleton, making it strong again. One food, one solution, 2 dangers addressed. Now your brain. I see it every year. Seniors who fear memory loss more than death itself. Alzheimer's, dementia, brain fog. These do not just steal thoughts, they steal independence. But almonds fight back. In their thin brown skin lives a treasure, flavonoids, When combined with vitamin E, these compounds neutralize oxidative stress, the slow-burning fire that destroys brain cells. Eat them with the skin on. That skin is your silent defender. I remember a patient named Evelyn, 68 years old, a retired teacher. She confessed to me that she often repeated herself without realizing, and her children were beginning to notice. Her greatest fear was becoming a burden. She ate almonds daily, about 20 raw and unsalted, chewing slowly, making it a ritual with her morning tea. Months later, her family noticed she was sharper, quicker to recall details, more present in conversations. That small habit gave her back confidence. Almonds also fight constipation, a problem almost half of seniors hide in silence. With 3.5 grams of fiber per serving, they restore movement, reduce bloating, and improve mood. You may laugh, but regular digestion is one of the strongest predictors of energy and longevity in the elderly. But let me be very clear. Do not overdo it. Too many almonds can overload you with calories or create digestive discomfort. 15 to 20 a day is enough. Raw or dry roasted, unsalted, always chewed well, especially if your teeth are fragile. Each bite is an investment in your independence. And here is where the truth turns fascinating. If almonds protect bones and brains, what about the nut that looks exactly like your brain? The nut that, by design and by science, may be nature's most powerful protector of memory. That nut is waiting for you in the next part. Walnuts. Now we come to the walnut. Look at it closely. Its wrinkled shell, its two halves curled together, a striking resemblance to the human brain. Coincidence? Maybe. But science confirms what your eyes already suspect. Walnuts are the brain's favorite food. Inside each walnut is alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that strengthens the very membranes of your brain cells. Without it, neurons lose their flexibility, messages slow, and memory fades. With it, communication flows. Thoughts connect. Words return. But that is just the beginning. Walnuts contain polyphenols, powerful antioxidants that cross the blood-brain barrier and fight inflammation directly in your neural tissue. And let me remind you, inflammation is not just pain in your joints. It is also the silent erosion of memory, focus, and clarity. Chronic low-level inflammation fuels dementia. Walnuts extinguish that fire at its source. I will never forget Harold, a retired music teacher in his 70s. After losing his wife, his grief grew into something darker: confusion, forgetfulness, fear. He once told me he got lost driving back from the store he had visited for 30 years. In his kitchen, he kept a glass jar of walnuts. They look like a brain, he told me. Maybe they can fix mine. He wasn't wrong. We added a daily ritual, 7 walnut halves each evening, refrigerated to protect their delicate oils. Within weeks, he reported sharper focus. Within months, his children said, "Dad, you're back." Science backs Harold's experience. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found seniors eating just 1.5 ounces of walnuts daily improved processing speed and mental flexibility in just 8 weeks. That is the difference between catching a joke, remembering a birthday, or staying engaged in conversation. And there is another secret inside walnuts: melatonin. Your body's natural sleep hormone declines with age, leaving you restless at night. Walnuts contain natural melatonin, helping seniors fall asleep faster and wake restored. Many of my patients now replace their late-night cookie with a small handful of walnuts. "Doc," one man told me, "I'm sleeping through the night for the first time in years." But caution matters. Walnuts are rich, dense, and best kept in the refrigerator to avoid rancidity. Eat 7 to 9 halves a day, skin intact, bitterness included. That bitterness is your shield, packed with antioxidants. So think of this. Brazil nuts awaken your thyroid. Almonds defend your bones and brain. Walnuts protect memory and restore sleep. And yet, there is still one more. A nut often overlooked, yet astonishing in what it does for blood pressure, vision, and blood sugar. A nut your grandparents may have loved, but you may not fully understand. In the next part, I'll reveal why pistachios might be the most underrated protector for seniors over 60. Now let's talk about pistachios. The nut that looks harmless, even playful, with its little green smile peeking out of the shell. Yet for seniors, pistachios can quietly protect 3 of the most vulnerable parts of your aging body: your blood pressure, your vision, and your blood sugar. I remember my grandfather. Every afternoon, he sat in his armchair with a small wooden bowl of pistachios. One by one, he cracked them open, slowly, patiently. At the time, I thought it was just an old man's ritual. Today, I understand, without knowing the science, he was protecting his future. Let's start with blood pressure. After 60, arteries stiffen, sensitivity to salt increases, and hypertension becomes a silent predator. Pistachios are one of the most potassium-rich nuts on the planet, more than many fruits and vegetables. Potassium counterbalances sodium, relaxing blood vessels, lowering blood pressure, and protecting your heart. 1 ounce a day, about 49 pistachios, can shift the numbers on your blood pressure monitor more than you'd expect. Now your eyes. Pistachios are loaded with lutein and zeaxanthin, 2 carotenoids that accumulate in the retina. These compounds act like internal sunglasses, filtering harmful blue light and slowing the progression of macular degeneration. And let's be honest, what good is a long life if it grows darker and blurrier with every year? Keeping vision sharp means keeping independence intact. And then blood sugar. Pistachios are naturally low on the glycemic index. They release their energy slowly, preventing the dangerous spikes that accelerate diabetes. With 3 grams of fiber per ounce, they stabilize insulin, reduce cravings, and help seniors keep control of their day. For those already diagnosed with prediabetes or diabetes, this is no small gift. There's even a behavioral trick. When you shell pistachios yourself, the act slows you down. The empty shells become a visual reminder of how much you've eaten. This simple pause helps prevent overeating, turning snacking into a mindful, calming ritual. I recommend 1 ounce daily, unsalted or lightly salted, refrigerated for freshness. If arthritis or weak grip makes shelling difficult, choose the naturally half-open ones. Small adjustments, big payoffs. So let's connect the dots. Brazil nuts wake your thyroid and hormones. Almonds defend your bones and brain. Walnuts sharpen memory and restore sleep. Pistachios protect blood pressure, eyesight, and blood sugar. 4 allies, 4 daily guardians. But here's the warning. For every nut that heals, there is another that quietly harms. Nuts you've probably eaten your whole life. Nuts marketed as healthy. Yet for seniors, they can fuel inflammation, interfere with medication, or even damage the liver. In the next section, we expose the 4 nuts you must never eat again, starting with one that almost everyone has in their pantry right now. Now let's flip the coin. You've seen the nuts that heal. But there are others that pretend to be harmless, even healthy, while quietly fueling the very decline you're trying to avoid. And the first on that list, peanuts. I'll never forget George. A proud Vietnam veteran, 72 years old, still walking tall with the discipline of a soldier. But when he came into my office, something was wrong. His joints ached more than usual, he was tired all the time, and his blood pressure was rising despite no big changes in his routine. When I asked about his diet, he smiled. "Doc, I snack on peanuts every day. They're healthy, right?" That moment hit me hard, because peanuts are not nuts at all. They're legumes, and because they grow underground, they're highly vulnerable to mold that produces aflatoxin, an invisible toxin that accumulates in your liver over time. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. But it builds silently, weakening immunity and even raising cancer risk. Seniors with slower detox systems are especially vulnerable, and that's just the beginning. Even without mold, peanuts are inflammatory. They trigger subtle immune reactions that fuel joint pain, cloud your thinking, and strain your heart. The omega-6 fats in peanuts throw your body's balance off, making it harder to control circulation and brain function. Over time, that imbalance leaves you stiff, foggy, and older than you should feel. Salt makes it worse. Most peanuts in stores are roasted, salted, sometimes coated with oils and sugar. For the 60% of adults over 65 managing high blood pressure, that sodium isn't just unhealthy, it's dangerous. Add hydrogenated oils in many commercial peanut butters, and you've got a slow poison hiding under the label of healthy snack. And there's another trap. If you're on blood thinners or other common medications, peanuts can interfere with absorption, especially vitamin K. For seniors juggling multiple prescriptions, this silent interference can turn into serious complications. So let's put it bluntly. If you're over 60 and peanuts are still part of your daily life, it's time to stop. You won't feel the damage right away. That's what makes it dangerous. The fatigue, the aching joints, the creeping blood pressure, they build slowly, until one day the healthy snack becomes the hidden trigger behind a diagnosis you never saw coming. Now you might be thinking, fine, I'll switch to another nut. Cashews maybe. They're creamy, they're in health food stores, they must be safe. But don't be fooled. Cashews come with their own hidden dangers, from spiking blood sugar to fueling kidney stones, even turning into a choking hazard for older adults. And that's exactly where we're going next. Cashews. Creamy, mild, found in trail mixes, smoothies, even in so-called health bars. They look innocent. They taste comforting. But for seniors, they can be a trap. One that affects blood sugar, bones, kidneys, even safety at the dinner table. I remember Linda, 70 years old, full of warmth, the kind of grandmother who always had cookies ready for her grandchildren. She came to me with fatigue, stomach discomfort, and sudden spikes in blood sugar. Nothing seemed unusual until we dug into her daily habits. Cashews, in her snacks, in her cooking, even in the granola bars she carried in her purse. She looked at me with a hopeful smile and said, "They're good for you, right?" That question broke my heart, because what she thought was healthy was quietly undermining her. Here's the truth. Cashews contain more carbohydrates than most nuts, around 9 grams per ounce. For seniors already dealing with diabetes or prediabetes, that extra sugar load causes dangerous spikes. And the worst part? You don't feel it happening. Silent damage, building meal after meal, until one day the fatigue, the brain fog, the lab results finally reveal the truth. But blood sugar isn't the only issue. Cashews are also packed with oxalates. These compounds bind calcium in your gut, blocking absorption. At a time when bone density is already declining, cashews quietly rob your skeleton of the very minerals it needs. Worse, Oxalates accumulate, crystallize, and form kidney stones, one of the most painful conditions I've seen in older patients. And kidney stones after 60? They don't just hurt. They can land you in the ER, or even surgery. There's another danger most people never think about: choking. Cashews' smooth, curved shape makes them one of the easiest nuts to aspirate. Seniors with weaker swallowing reflexes, or those on medications that cause dry mouth, are at real risk. One wrong bite, one sudden cough, and what was meant as a snack becomes an emergency. I've seen it happen, and don't forget processing. In their raw state, cashews are toxic. They contain urushiol, the same chemical found in poison ivy. To make them edible, they must be heavily steamed and processed. That strips away much of their nutrition, leaving behind a nut that looks wholesome but offers little support for your aging body. So let me be clear. Cashews are not the daily ally you think they are. For seniors, they can spike sugar, weaken bones, damage kidneys, and even put you at risk of choking. They may look like comfort food, but comfort comes at a cost. And if cashews slowly break you down from the inside, the next nut carries a danger that sneaks in silently, bite after bite. Weight gain. Not the obvious kind from sweets or fast food, but the slow, steady creep that pushes up your blood pressure, strains your heart, and steals your mobility. That nut is macadamia, and it might be sitting in your pantry right now. Macadamia nuts. Smooth, buttery, luxurious. They feel like a reward, a little indulgence that seems safe because it's just nuts. But for seniors, macadamias carry a hidden weight. Literally. I think of Carl, a retired engineer in his late 60s, sharp mind, a wonderful sense of humor, disciplined in his routines. But over a few months, his weight crept up. His blood pressure edged higher. He felt sluggish after meals. He laughed when I asked about his snacks. "Well, Doc, I don't eat junk food, but I do treat myself to a few macadamias each night. They're heart healthy, right?" That laugh faded when I explained the truth. Macadamia nuts are calorie bombs. Just 1 ounce, barely a small handful, packs almost 200 calories and 22 grams of fat. For seniors whose metabolism slows naturally after 60, that's a silent trap. You don't binge. You don't feel stuffed. But the weight piles on, quietly. Over months, your belt tightens, your breath shortens, your energy fades. That's not indulgence. That's sabotage. And it's not just weight. Macadamias are loaded with saturated fat, around 3 grams per ounce. That type of fat pushes LDL cholesterol higher, straining an aging heart. For seniors already managing blood pressure or cholesterol, every bite can undo your progress. There's another hidden danger: the gallbladder. Many older adults have gallstones without even knowing it. Macadamias, with their heavy fat load, can trigger those stones to move. The pain isn't mild. It can send you to the ER, doubled over, sometimes straight into surgery. Even teeth aren't safe. Macadamias are dense and hard. Seniors with crowns, bridges, or fragile teeth risk cracking dental work. I've seen it happen. One bite, and suddenly a $5 snack costs thousands in repairs. So what looks like a healthy treat is often a weight gainer, a heart stressor, a gallbladder trigger, and even a dental hazard. That's the true price of macadamias. But if macadamias weigh you down slowly, the next nut does something far stranger. It can alter your sense of taste. It can interfere with your medications. It can even lead to dangerous weight loss simply because food stops tasting right. It's small, it's oily, and it hides in sauces and baked goods everywhere. That nut is pine nuts. And you need to hear this before your next meal. Pine nuts. Tiny, smooth, oily. They hide inside pesto, salads, baked breads, even health snacks. They look harmless. But for seniors, they can quietly throw your entire system off balance. I'll never forget Ruth. 74 years old, sharp as a tack, meticulous about her health. She tracked her meds, walked daily, ate carefully. But one day she sat across from me and said, "Doctor, everything tastes metallic. Even water tastes like metal." She looked scared. Food repulsed her. She was eating less and losing weight without trying. For an older adult, that's not just unpleasant, that's dangerous. The culprit? Pine nuts. She'd started making her own pesto at home, using generous handfuls. What she experienced is known as pine mouth, a bitter, metallic taste that can last for days or even weeks. It's not deadly in itself, but here's the hidden danger. When food tastes wrong, seniors unconsciously eat and drink less. And when you're already vulnerable to frailty, dehydration, or unintended weight loss, that simple taste change can push you into a health spiral. But pine nuts don't stop there. They can interfere with medications. Compounds inside pine nuts alter how your liver metabolizes certain drugs, especially blood pressure pills, cholesterol meds, and even antidepressants. That means the medicine you rely on every day may stop working as intended. Blood pressure spikes, mood dips, side effects appear, and you're left wondering why your body suddenly feels unstable. There's more. Pine nuts are high in delicate polyunsaturated fats. These fats spoil easily if stored too long or in the wrong conditions. Once oxidized, they don't reduce inflammation. They feed it. For someone managing arthritis, joint pain, or heart disease, that's like pouring gasoline on the fire. And let's not overlook the choking hazard. Pine nuts are tiny and slippery. For older adults with dry mouth, a side effect of many common prescriptions, or with weaker swallowing reflexes, pine nuts can easily slip into the airway. One wrong swallow, and that harmless-looking seed becomes a medical emergency. So yes, pine nuts can change the way food tastes. They can weaken your medications. They can spark inflammation. They can even choke you. All from a nut you barely notice in your meal. Now you've heard about the 4 nuts to eat: Brazil nuts, almonds, walnuts, pistachios, and the 4 to avoid: peanuts, cashews, macadamias, pine nuts. But what does this all mean for your life? How do these choices connect to your memory, your blood pressure, your energy, even your intimacy? And is it really possible to feel younger, steadier, more alive just by changing what's in your snack bowl? That's exactly what we'll explore in the final message. Stay with me. This last part ties it all together. After walking through all 8 nuts, I want you to pause. Think about your kitchen. Think about your habits. Which bowl do you reach for when you feel hungry in the afternoon? Which handful do you grab when you sit down to watch TV at night? Because here's the truth. Aging doesn't happen in big explosions. It happens in the quiet choices we repeat. A peanut here, a handful of cashews there, macadamias after dinner, pine nuts hidden in your salad, little bites that slowly build inflammation, cloud your memory, raise your blood pressure, weaken your kidneys. And by the time you notice the damage, it's often too late to reverse it. But the opposite is also true. A single Brazil nut each morning can whisper energy back into your thyroid. Almonds can reinforce your bones and sharpen your mind. Walnuts can slow the unraveling of memory and help you sleep again. Pistachios can keep your blood pressure steady and your vision clear. Tiny daily choices that don't just add years to your life, they add life to your years. I've seen it again and again. A veteran who traded peanuts for pistachios and watched his blood pressure fall without another pill. A grandmother who swapped cashews for almonds and noticed her digestion and mood improve. A widower who began eating walnuts each evening and finally slept through the night for the first time in months. These aren't miracles. They're biology. They're proof your body is still listening, even after 60. And that's what I want you to remember. You are not too old. You are not broken. Your health is not gone. The body you wake up in tomorrow morning will respond to the choices you make tonight. Give it the wrong foods, and it will quietly weaken. Give it the right ones, and it will fight for you, protect you, surprise you. So when you stand in your kitchen this week, don't just grab what's familiar. Think. Choose. Let your handful of nuts be your signal. A signal that you are ready to protect your memory, your heart, your strength, your independence. A signal that you refuse to let age steal more than it already has. Because in the end, this isn't just about food. It's about waking up steady on your feet. It's about remembering your grandchild's name without hesitation. It's about holding your partner's hand with warmth instead of weakness. It's about feeling alive, not just existing. If you're ready to take back that control, start today. And if this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, and make sure to subscribe to this channel, because I will keep giving you the tools, simple, science-based, practical, to outsmart the quiet dangers of aging. Don't wait. Your body isn't waiting. It's listening right now.